Welcome back, mamas. Okay, we have a little follow up from our Tuesday episode. If you didn't listen, you should go back and listen. But we are going to talk about identity and our loss of identity that we can feel in motherhood and how we may just wind up like going through the motions and not being present with our kids. And we aren't really sure why we are so unhappy and we feel guilty about it. And this is what we're going to address today. We're going to get to the root of it and get out of it, right? So let's get to it. Hey, mama, welcome to Prioritize with Purpose. Do you wish you had more time in your day and to feel like you've accomplished something at the end of each day? Do you find yourself up at night, doubting yourself, wondering if you've done enough, but also if you'll ever have time for you again? Do you wake up with big plans only to feel exhausted, out of control, and a little like Cinderella when your to-do list just seems to grow and your day gets thrown off track again? I'm Danielle. I too was a mom of littles running around with endless to-do lists. I too felt behind and guilty, wishing I could find balance, get clarity, and be more present in the moment with my kids. I kept telling myself I didn't have time. Schedules must just not be for me, and that I was too tired to figure it all out. I felt so alone until I made a decision to dig deep and get clear about what I wanted and why. In this podcast, we embrace where we are, but we don't stay there. I'll guide you with transformational tips. You'll learn mindset shifts and be challenged to take back control of your days so you get the most important things done and can be a more present mama who feels like yourself again. So grab the kid as a snack and get your laundry, because I know you're multitasking, and let's get into what I like to call aligned flow. Okay, mamas. So I am so excited to kind of follow up on what we talked about on Tuesday, which was your identity, right? And losing your identity and just all of these things that you may be feeling. You may not even know are a loss of identity, right? I was talking about feeling stuck and just unhappy and overwhelmed. And all of these things could have to do with the fact that you feel like you don't know who you are anymore. You've kind of lost yourself in motherhood. I know that's where I was, and I am excited to take this a little deeper today and to really explore how we look into this and what we do about it, right? Because it's all about making a decision. So I'm going to start with a quote. This one is from Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela says, "Learn to know yourself, to search realistically and regularly the processes of your own mind and feelings." You have to search, right? To search realistically and regularly the processes of your own mind and your own feelings. Okay. So this is something where you have to check in. We have to check in with ourselves. We have to know why we are being so overwhelmed, why we are feeling so unhappy, why we feel so stuck. Like, do we really know why? Is it because we have all these to-dos, or is it because we don't know what we want anymore? Is that the real reason why we are stuck? Do we not know what we want anymore? Do we feel kind of stuck in this place where we feel like we want more for ourselves, but we also know that we want to be a mother and this is what we wanted, but we're not regretting becoming a mother. We're not regretting staying home with our children, but we are so confused and feeling guilty almost about why we are unhappy. And we are unhappy because we don't truly know ourselves. We haven't taken the time to check in with our own mind and our own feelings. With our own mind and our own feelings. And what I think Nelson Mandela is meaning by this, learn to know yourself. You can think that you know yourself. Like, I always thought I knew myself, right? Like, this is the kind of person I am. Like, this is who I am. This is who I want to be. And I was always very decisive in like my decisions. And once I made a decision, there was like no turning back for me. Like, I was like head forward, we're moving in this direction. And what I found when I got to this place is this is where I knew I wanted to be. But because I was unhappy, I was like, now what? Like, why am I unhappy? Like, what do I do with this feeling? And why am I feeling it? I was feeling guilty about it. I was feeling so many emotions that were like so confusing to me. I was so conflicted because I knew this is where I wanted to be. And I don't know if this is where you find yourself, but I'm going to read another quote here. And this one is from Doris Mortman. And it says, until you make peace with who you are, you'll never be content with what you have. Until you make peace with who you are, you'll never be content with what you have. Okay, that is deep. We aren't going to be content with what we have, even if it's what we think we wanted, until we know who we are. So, yes, I did want to be a stay at home mom. I did want that for myself. I chose to stay at home with my kids. Once I had number two, I was like, okay, this is my life moving forward. This is what I want. I want to be there for them. I want to be there when they grow up. But then I found myself in this unhappy place. And until I made peace with who I was and what I wanted, like, yes, I wanted that, but I also wanted something for myself. And that's where we have to get over this like guilt, this conflicted feeling that we're having that maybe, yes, we do want to be there for our kids. We do not want to go back into the workforce. We do not want to have to leave them in the day. We want to do something for ourselves, but we also want to be there for our kids. And for me, I knew it was something where I wanted to start a business or do something more with my life. I knew I wanted to help people. I wasn't sure what that looked like. I just knew that I was supposed to help people. And so I started, just volunteering and doing all these things that I used to do, things that used to fulfill me, things that used to fill my cup, and they weren't filling my cup anymore. And I didn't know what to do about it. And I was like finding myself pouring out into everyone and everything, yet not knowing who I was, not knowing really truly what I wanted for myself, right? Or for my purpose, what I felt like I was supposed to do in life, right? And I know that I am supposed to be a mother and that I was supposed to raise these amazing children. And when they were young and when they were at home and when they didn't have to go to school, I should have been more content. I think I wasn't as content because I was feeling all these new feelings that I wasn't sure about. And I didn't take the time to check into those feelings. I just started pouring out into all these things that used to fill my cup, but didn't anymore. Right. And so then I became even more overwhelmed and more just stuck. I was just stuck. That's the only word that keeps coming to my mind is how stuck I felt. I felt like I was in this constant circle and this cycle of just doing the same things over and over again, but not being able to see why it wasn't making me happy. Right. I wasn't checking in to myself and where I was in that season. And finally, when I did the work to dig deep and get clear on actually what it was that I wanted at that point in my life, at that season of my life, where my priorities lie, what I wanted for me, and not only for me, but for my family, right? For my kids, for my husband, for everyone in my life. Like, what did I want my life to look like at this season in life? And once I got clear and I did that, you guys, it was so eye-opening. It was so clear at that point in time. I had felt stuck. And then all of a sudden it was like, okay, this is what I want, right? And I was able to move forward in this confidence. And that's what I want for you. I want you to be able to get clear with yourself, to check in with yourself, to figure out what you want for yourself. And sometimes it's really hard to know. And sometimes you need like a third party. I'm going to go ahead and plug my coaching right now, you guys, because it is launched. It is ready. It is ready for you to go there. Go to the website, prioritizewithpurpose.com, and check out the coaching because I want to help you through this season. season. I don't want you to wind up like I was and doing and making the mistakes I was making and doing the things that I was doing, thinking it was going to help, but really just winding me up in a spiral. And it like was a band-aid. For a while I was happy, but then it just wasn't. I still was feeling all this like anxiety and different things were happening in my body that to where it should have been signals to me that this was out of alignment with what I wanted, but it wasn't a signal. I had never really felt that before. And I thought I was getting sick. And I thought, and I did get sick, right? Like I wound up in the hospital. I wound up being diagnosed with fibromyalgia. Like these were things that were happening to me all because I was out of alignment, right? Like fibromyalgia doesn't even exist anymore in my body. And that's something that you don't get over supposedly, right? Like I did not like do anything. I did not take the medicine. I did not do the things other than change my diet, which I still, don't necessarily eat that way when I first started changing my diet. So it's not just about the diet, you guys. It was about me. It was about my identity. It was about who I was. It was about what was feeling so out of alignment in my spirit, I guess, and my identity. It was making me stressed out. It was making my body sick, all because I was feeling this out of alignment. And I do not want that for you. I do not want you to walk through your life like this. I do not want you to miss out on any years and not being able to feel like present with your kids, not being able to feel fully happy in what that you're doing and knowing that this is a season, right? And that we don't have to be stuck in a season, right? We can be in every season fully present, fully happy, fully enjoying the season that we're in when we are in alignment, when we know where our priorities are, when we know what we're doing, and when we are confident in our identity. I wanted to read a quote from Tony Robbins that says, "Identity is this incredible, invisible force that controls your whole life. It's invisible like gravity is invisible, but it controls your whole life, just like gravity does. Like we can't do anything about it, right? Like we're stuck to the ground, like everything, gravity pulls us down. This identity is something that is like an invisible force that when we don't feel like we know who we are, it is out of whack and things are off, right? Like we're just floating around, like we're in space, right? We're just floating around and we don't know what is going on. We're going through the motions a lot of the time, right? And I totally felt that. And I want to read another quote here from Ralph Waldo Emerson. And it says, "The only person you are destined to become is the person you decide to be." The only person you are destined to become is the person you decide to be. It's about making a decision, you guys. It really is. You just have to make that decision for yourself that you're not going to stay stuck, that you're not going to stay in this place of feeling this unhappiness, this overwhelm, this just weighing on you, that this guilt. That's what I was feeling, was so much guilt, and you might be living there. And I do not want that for you. And you just have to make a decision for yourself to decide to get out of it, to decide to get out of it. I want to read another quote here. It's another Ralph Waldo Emerson quote, and it says, "To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment." To be yourself in a world that's trying to make you something else is an unbelievable accomplishment, you guys. And if we are going through the motions and we are doing all of the things that everyone else kind of thinks we should do, or that, might be, if you become a stay-at-home mom and you decide you want something for yourself, a lot of times that is frowned upon. A lot of times people are like, "What do you mean you want to do something for yourself? What do you mean?" Like, and it might not be the season right now where you want to, let's just say, start a business, or you want to, have some kind of thing that you do on the side for yourself that isn't just raising your children. It could just be that you want to pick up a hobby for yourself. It could just be that you want to, start working out again. It could just be that you want to make it a point to get yourself a massage every month or whatever it is, get your nails done. Like it could just be that you need to check in. That is the biggest thing, is checking in and figuring out what it is, who you are, who you want to be in this season, and why it is that you're feeling this stuck and this overwhelm and this unhappiness. Why is that, right? And there is an underlying reason for it. And it might not be apparent to you, but it is there. And if you just do the work to dig deep and get clear on that, everything will then be able to line up and you will be able to move forward in this confidence that you are operating day to day in your identity, in who you know you're meant to be and who you want to be. If you're anything like me, I had been a workaholic. That's what I was, workaholic, I defined myself by my work. I was successful, I was in sales and I really was super proud of that, right? Like I was very proud. If I was not doing well in my job, then I felt like a failure. If I was not performing in my job, I would feel like a failure. And so that is what I did. I always was high performer. I always was, winning the awards and, top of the leaderboard or whatever it was. I was always striving to be the best at what I would be doing. And if I wasn't the best at what I was doing, then that's when like all this self-doubt and different things would creep in. And so when motherhood came and I was defining myself by being a mother, then what would happen is if I didn't feel like I was being a successful mother, and to me, it was a lot of times like looking around and comparing myself to all of these other people, which I know I've talked about many times on the podcast, that is a huge trap, because when you're comparing yourself to these other mothers, you're seeing what they are front facing, right? You are seeing the thing that they are probably the best at because that's what they're putting out on social media, or that's what you're seeing when they are talking to you one-on-one, whether it's picking up a preschool or whatever it is, just going out to a play date with another child or whatever. But the mom is probably not usually going to talk about the failures, right? That she's going to talk about what she's doing well and what's going really well and all of these things. And so when you feel like a failure as a mom, you are feeling like you are a failure, right? And so I was feeling all of this self-doubt and this guilt and everything. And I have a quote here by Tim Keller that says, if our identity is in our work or our roles rather than Christ, success will go to our heads and failure to our hearts. You guys, I am a Christ follower, a Christ believer, and I believe that, your identity should be in Christ. Like he is the reason that I am worthy, right? Like he is the reason that I am enough. He is the reason that I am all of these, amazing things, right? And if we have our identity in our work, it says, or our roles, right? Our roles as mothers, and that is work, by the way, then our success will go to our heads and our failure will go to our hearts. So that is so true, because when we let our failures go directly to our hearts and then we feel like a failure, right? This is not the truth. This is not the truth. We are not failures. You are not a failure. I want to tell you that right now, that your success shouldn't go to your head, right? And your failure shouldn't go to your heart, right? Because we are mothers. We are going to make mistakes, but you need to know who your identity is in yourself, in Christ. Like that is where my identity lies now, is in Him. And that is why I think I am so strong. But even if you make a decision on where, that Ralph Waldo Emerson quote that said, you're the only person that is destined to become the person you decide to be. The only person you're destined to become is the person you decide to be. So your identity is tied up in your decision. Does that seem crazy to you? But you get to decide who you want to be. It is your choice. Just like I always talk about, we have choices in this world. God gave us choices. We have free will. We get to decide who we want to be. And this motherhood role, job, whatever you want to call it, you guys, it is hard. It is so hard. And as stay-at-home moms, we can get caught up a lot in those successes, and letting that go to our head, and the failures then go to our heart. And they really can take us down if we let them, right? So we need to get rooted in what is important to us and to why we're doing this. And we need to realistically look at what our own mind and our own feelings, what they're telling us. Back to that first Nelson Mandela quote, right? We need to know ourselves. And we need to know what's important to us. It comes back to the priorities again, you guys. And I really, really think that is so, so true. And I want that for you. I want you to know who you are. I want you to know yourself well. And I know that it can be hard to get there on your own. And so that is why I've been so excited to talk about my coaching, because I really am going to walk you through this baby steps with you. And we're going to figure out what is important to you. We're going to get deep and get clear on what you want and where your priorities are at this season in your life. I know this is like completely, I didn't even plan this to be such a perfect time to talk about this coaching, but it really is, because I can tell you that if I had this coaching when I was in that dark place where I was just in this self-doubt, I was stuck, I was so overwhelmed, this would have been such a godsend. And so I'm not saying that I am a godsend, but I am saying that God did lead me on this path for a reason, and that I am here for a reason, that I did walk through all of that for a reason. And I believe that that reason is so that I can help you, and so that you do not have to stay stuck here, and so that you do not have to live here, and so that you can enjoy motherhood more than I did, right? There was a season where I did not enjoy it at all, and I do not want that for you. And so please go check out prioritizewithpurpose.com/coaching. Look at it, especially right now, you guys, there's still spots open. I can't even believe there's still spots open. I thought it would actually go really quickly. The first 5 people who sign up for that Purposeful Priorities bundle are going to get the Aligned Flow experience at no additional cost. So you're going to pay for the Purposeful Priorities bundle, but you're going to get the Aligned Flow experience bundle at no additional cost. So it's super good deal. And even if you can't do that bundle, all of the bundles are, or even the one coaching session, they're all $20 off during the month of April for my launch, you guys. So I'm super excited. I would love for you to go check that out. I know that this coaching is going to help you and is going to be exactly what you need. I designed it in such a way that we will walk through this hand in hand together. So if nothing else, go and sign up for the newsletter, or join the Facebook community as well. So we have lots of resources for you there and on the website. And I am so excited to talk to you next week. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, Mama. If something spoke to you, would you take 30 seconds to share this with a mom who may need some encouragement in her day? It lights me up to know this hit home with you. So please leave a quick review of the show and check the notes if you want to reach out to me. I'll meet you right back here next week. Keep smiling, y'all.